Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. This is Chris.
And I'm Bree.
And this time it's played in full, and at long last, Hob! Thanks, folks, for tuning in. We do appreciate it. You can always leave a comment below, and as you'll hear soon, this time that comes with possible lucrative rewards. So, yeah.
So for our Hob review, we actually have 2 Hob posters that we want to give away. And to enter to win, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. In 2 weeks, we'll do a drawing. And wait.
That's the back of the poster.
There it is. 2 posters. 1, 2.
So to build off that, these posters actually are not easily obtainable.
No, so these are PAX East 2017 Hob posters that we've been holding on and waiting to give away so that people watch a review, play this game. So yeah, comment, subscribe, and enter to win. And good luck.
Yes, indeed. So here we are. Hob is finally out. This is a game that we have both been anticipating for quite some time.
I definitely haven't watched many games as closely. Like, we played builds at PAX, and we've been watching it very closely, paying attention to the development log, waiting on this game a lot. So we've been in it deep, and we finally got to play it.
Yeah.
And
boy, it's a game. Again, 3 PAXes. Whatever the plural
3
of PAX is.
PAXi.
PAXi. Yeah, this is up there for me this year. Now, again, we kind of knew what we were getting into with this game. This wasn't like something that came out of nowhere and we didn't know what was going to happen. We had a lot of playtime, and for the most part, it was what we expected with some surprises. It's an action platforming game, heavily inspired by games like Zelda, Bastion. It was top-down, sort of, I wouldn't say retro graphics.
It wouldn't even work in the top-down.
Really?
No.
Huh.
I feel like the camera in this game is very controlled and cinematic. So just because it's in a certain place, it usually is finding the place that looks the best for the scenery. So something like what's happening in this poster might happen when you go into a hallway and suddenly it's this long shot that you're getting this beautiful view of the world. So I think that it's a controlled cinematic camera.
Yeah, and I think it works great.
Nope.
I actually like that. The first time I played it for the first, 20 minutes, I was like, man, I wish I could use my right stick.
I kept trying to, yep.
Yeah, but after that, you get used to it, and I appreciated it. Throughout the whole game, there's these little points you can find that you get to sit down, interact with, and it kind of pans out, and it shows you everything in this little vista. And they're usually very artistic moments that show off the engine and the landscape. So this is definitely a game I feel like that has a lot of art design and art appeal. Very cinematic. Mm-hmm. If you like that sort of thing, it's probably going to rub you the right way. Like Bree was saying, this poster actually is kind of representative of what you can expect. And it has cartoonish graphics, too. Sort of cel-shaded, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'd say for me, this game is 100% my style of gameplay, my aesthetics of gameplay. Like, this is a game, like, outside of just following it and liking the game, but this is my kind of game. Like, this is my jams, for real.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of games we play, and I like them, and I enjoy them, but this is the kind of game that I love. This is why I do gaming. It's relaxing. It's a lot about finding little secret areas and really exploring this world without a lot of narrative, like, being shoved in your face. It's kind of this no dialogue,
well, there's
exposition.
Dialogue, but it's not dialogue you can understand. It's like dialogue like Empire, where it's blah, 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 blah.
But even less than that. Like, it's very minimal.
Yep.
Like, very few moments. It's a lot of more gestures or just understanding through this, environment. You get the story of this world and what has happened. And you're kind of, you as the hero, which I think is what they call that main character, the hero.
I call him Hob Guy.
Hob Guy?
I'm really creative.
Yeah. As the hero, you're kind of waking up, or you've been woken up to kind of rebuild this world that's fallen apart. And
literally rebuild it.
Repiece everything back together and see what is going on. So it's always like you're going around this corner behind this thing and looking for a different way to kind of put the world back together and put yourself together as well, because your character has some, needs to build up. There's kind of like... you build up your arm, there's upgrades and things like that. I think that's one of the things that I was surprised about more is the amount of upgrades for your weapon. Like, we've been paying attention to it, but
deeper than I expected.
Deeper than I expected. The world map was also
way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It's bigger than I thought it was going to be, and also just how important it is to keep referencing the map and tracking down all these different areas. And
you will need to use the map often. When we first started playing this game, I'm not even sure. I think we asked if there'd be a map, and they were like, "Yeah, there might be," or "We're working on it. We think we'll put it in there." Seemed like an afterthought. I would say the map is
critical,
vital, like as important as a Metroidvania game, such as Metroid or even Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
you need to reference the map.
And I was constantly referencing the map, and that's actually one of those things I like is a map in a game that I'm always like trying to fill in every last bit and explore.
Yep.
Like I love exploring. I think that's always been my favorite thing in games. Like I remember getting in like World of Warcraft, I was like one of the first people that got like 100% explored of the map. Like
Holy crap!
I really like exploring areas. I think that's one of those things. Plus puzzles and secrets and kind of this cryptic storyline that's given to you slowly.
Yep.
So those are the three things that I think really are awesome about this game.
Building off the map, it felt like when I first played Zelda for the Nintendo, that anticipation of finding a new area of the map and going, oh man, this looks like it was going to be a secret, and all of a sudden this whole other part of the world opens up, and a secret goes into another secret, and then all of a sudden you're in this huge area. So yeah, the map, I thought it was going to be very small. In Refine, I thought it'd be a lot of backtracking, and there is backtracking, but not to the degree I thought there would be.
I think that's one of the things that really stands out about this game is the level design. So the backtracking that happens is because you've opened up new areas, or you've changed the areas that were previously there, and suddenly they become a completely different area, and they're explorable in different ways.
This, to me, is like a slap in the face of procedural gaming, which I love, because the levels change as you go through, but it's crafted.
Yes.
And it's weight, actual weight. Like when the landscape moves up or the things move together, it feels like this landscape puzzle being put together. And it feels like this finely loved and cherished and cared for map that you're actually putting together. I'm going to blow your mind here. I think this is a game that's a metaphor for game design.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going through and you're actually seeing everything fall into place, and you're wiping out bugs for the most part. It's kind of this virus that has taken over, this purple goop, and by getting rid of the bugs and freeing, the good guys, if you want to call them that, the sprites, you wipe out. It's like then you get I don't. It just seemed like a very I'm probably way off. I just thought it was like it feels like they're kind of showing you how a game gets made.
Yeah.
In this very whimsical and fantastical environment. Yeah.
I love the way that the world comes together as you kind of put everything back together and power up generators and click things into place, and the world actually like turns and clicks and moves up, and you saw like, oh, I saw this place that I could jump over there just a minute ago, and then the world clicks into place, and then now you understand how you can get there. And it's like suddenly the whole entire level kind of your perspective on it shifts, and then how you get to use it and play through it is different and interesting. Again, it's like refreshing the level that you just went through in a new way.
They're very good at teasing certain items. So you'll get to a part in the level, and you'll see like either a guy with a sword. You have to collect sword bits to upgrade your weapon. Or you'll see a little butterfly, and butterflies unlock certain things you can buy later on. I won't go too much into spoilers, but just... So you can kind of see these things, and you're like, man, I want to get there so bad. And for me, it was like, I'm not quitting this damn game until and so it's like you play and it's like I love it. I love that, like, you see this little area, they give you a tidbit, and you're like, how do I get there, and you kind of have to think about it. I do want to specify, I had a lot of questions on Twitter when I first started playing it. Is this more a puzzle game than a fighting game? What would you say to that? Do you think it's more puzzle than fighting? Do you think it's more...
I think it's a secret finding game. I think that most of the time the answer to the puzzle is just looking around and exploring the environment more. So, like, if you are stuck on a spot, walk around where you are, or just stop. Actually, a lot of times the way I figured out a puzzle is just stop and just look. Look at, especially the camera, again, I'm going to go back to that cinematic kind of controlled camera thing where you'll come to certain places and it was very honed in on your character, and then suddenly it opens up and it shows you this kind of beautiful landscape. But usually if you just stop there, you will see the answer to the puzzle somewhere in that vista that you're seeing. So the few times that I really got a little bit stuck, I just kind of had to slow down and look and explore.
This is a thinking game. This is not a game where it wants you to do the same thing over and over again. So if you're stuck at a part and you're like, you just keep doing it over, that's not the right way. They really encourage you to look wider, and to kind of see, maybe there's something I can come out from behind. Maybe there's a vine I didn't climb up that's in this other area I haven't explored. A lot of unspoken interaction too. They kind of just throw you in the game and let you figure it out. There's no tutorial, which I love. There's nothing explicitly saying, here's how you do a warp stomp. You just eventually unlock an ability. It says your warp stomp creates a time bubble.
So actually, I didn't know how to sprint because I actually didn't go into I'm sure there's a key bindings area. I didn't open it up and look at it. So I didn't actually know how to sprint, nor did I need to.
Sprinting
really.
Is, well, I don't know. I sprinted all the time.
Well, once I found, but I didn't know which key did sprinting. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It was just suddenly something popped up where I was like, if you sprint while you do this, I was like, wait, how do I sprint again? And then I never stopped sprinting. And I ran off a bazillion cliffs by sprinting too much.
I did that all the time too. Speaking of which, maybe we should talk a little bit about the controls. Mm-hmm. Controls are going to be touchy for people. I got used to it, honestly. When I first played the demo, I was terrible at it. It took me about an hour to really get to know kind of how the analog sticks work, because in this game, there's perspectives that feel a little off. For me, it got better. I actually was okay with it. Maybe there was one or two parts specifically where I had a little bit of a trouble. There's this part where these platforms kind of go over each other. That was tough. I feel like they maybe could have done a little bit of a better job differentiating.
There's one part I'm thinking of, and it's actually in the part that we played at the PAX East demo, which you had trouble of there, and I had trouble with it here. And it took me, and by trouble, I mean it took me 5 jumps, and I knew what was going wrong. But it's the same thing that I have with any sort of 3D platformer, where my brain just has a hard time understanding where that 3D space, without being able to rotate the camera behind myself, then I have a hard time.
They try, in some parts they did a good job of it, where they would color a certain piece of the ledge and it would match a color of another piece.
Yeah.
So it was few and far between, but there were definitely quite a few times where I died and I was like, that didn't feel like I did something wrong. I just felt like it didn't look like I landed where I should have landed.
Yeah. For me, it was just really that one spot, and for the most of the time, I'm just not a really great platformer in general, but my love of finding secrets plowed me through any hesitant that I had over platforming.
It's a secret finder's paradise. I love finding secrets too. I'm one of those guys, if you watch our Hollow Knight review, where I want 100% a game. I want all the achievements. I want to get everything. And this game has that in full force. You can unlock numerous weapons. You can then use the weapons you unlock to unlock other secret areas that give you background lore. The butterflies are this unique kind of currency. Like I said, you can collect those. You can get a lot of life. There are different looks with varying effects you can get for your character. Tons of stuff here.
I definitely want to say that, about those upgrades and secrets and things like the vistas, it wasn't like getting the butterflies. I didn't care because it upgraded my character. It was more about getting every single place and finding every little way of doing things. I could give a crap whether it upgraded I would have been happy if none of those things did any upgrades at all. I just was so happy to find them and collect them and figure out how to get to that spot. Especially the butterflies. I think I really could care less that they gave my guy skills. I just wanted to find all the butterflies. Or the vistas. I really enjoyed finding the vistas. It was the nicest reward is okay, you found this little spot and you sit down and you just take a moment and the camera zooms out and you get to see something beautiful in the world.
It's a natural way to kind of calm you too. I feel like those are interspersed in areas that can be a little difficult. It's just a way of naturally, just take a breath.
And enjoy it. Yeah. That was actually, I'd probably say one of my favorite things is those vistas that I've seen in recent games, actually. I really enjoyed those.
And this is not a game that punishes you for dying. It's seemingly autosave, so we'll get into some of the issues I have with it, but I discovered that there's an autosave feature. Autosaves every 30 seconds, and it keeps it in a folder that you can actually access if you need to. So it autosaves all the time, and there's a lot of save points. Very rare was it that I found a save point was too far away. When I save point, I don't mean a point where it saves your game. It's where you respawn.
Yeah, respawn point. Because it's always saving. So even though you might have, done a few things since that respawn, it's saved that you killed that guy or it's saved that you did this thing.
So dying over and over is fine. It's not like a platforming game where you start at the beginning. It's lost all that progress. No, there are in-jokes. So you come back out. Presumably my theory is it's part of the game where every time he dies he gets physically reconstructed, because sometimes he'll fall out of the little teleporting chamber flat in space. Other times he'll come out swinging his sword he just what's just happened. So I enjoy that too. I like that they kind of put a little in joke that he's aware that he's dying a lot. It's enjoyable. So yeah, I would say from my standpoint it was roughly half puzzle, roughly half hack and slash.
Yeah, I did. I felt like in general the game was very forgiving as far as like I'm not very good at platforming or very great at combat. I still felt like they give you enough skills that fighting wasn't that hard.
Yep.
It's a little
it's
harder
challenging in certain parts. It's
in the beginning.
It's not a cakewalk.
No, it's not a cakewalk, but it never felt like I was hitting my head against a wall, or it was always just enough of a challenge that I enjoyed every minute, but not so much of a challenge that I was getting frustrated.
Yeah. However, this is okay. So it's a great game. The only issues I had were technical, really. I mean, with a few other minor things. I would have preferred the game to be longer than 25-ish hours because it was so good. I wanted it to be like twice as big. Come on, guys, like do like twice as much work with a small studio. No, it was good enough that I really wanted to keep playing it. And there was a bit inside me that was a little sad. It was like, oh, Hobbs over. What do I do now? Yeah. So, and that's high praise for a game. But sadly, I had a lot of technical issues. Now, to specify, Bree played on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, PlayStation 4 Pro.
I played on my PC, which has a GTX 980, an i5 processor, all the latest graphics drivers updated and everything. A lot of technical issues for me. I had to end up running it in window mode because it kept freezing for some reason. Now, I do want to say some of these were addressed in a patch.
Like next day patch, actually.
We got a little bit of an early copy for the PC, so I played through that. And quite a few of these issues were addressed. However, so I had this one area where I thought I was stuck. What happened was I died, and there's this little teleporting puzzle that you do. And when I respawned, it reset one of these teleporters. And I thought the teleporting was how you did the puzzle. So I was like, oh my God, I'm stuck. And I went through my save files, and I couldn't find one because it only goes back like 8 save files. And it saves frequently enough where you can't replace it, right? So I was stuck there, and I was like, oh man, I'm stuck. Now, it turns out I'm just an idiot. And really, the teleporting puzzle was done. That's why it didn't matter. And I just had to go up and over and complete the rest of it. That was totally on me. But since Chris, in my life, I'm Irony Chris, I actually went back around, came back down, and got stuck legitimately. The reason being there's a little ramp you go down, and then they lock out a ladder. So, like, you really couldn't do anything. I reported it, I'm sure they're addressing it, but it's just that was like, wow, that actually it was a kind of a game-breaking bug. I was able to avoid it because I had a save file that I had actually put on my desktop from the other game playthrough, but it was one time. Again, I think it will probably be patched out, but I still had performance issues.
I did have
stuttering.
Yeah, I definitely. So I played on the PS4 Pro, hooked into a 4K receiver into a 4K TV, and it still was, kind of stuttery in a few places.
Yeah, a little jittery.
A little jittery, and more so in the background, because a lot of stuff is usually happening in the background while your character's here. You've got like fish and other things going on back here, and that stuff, if you actually focused on it, was kind of jittery. I didn't care. I didn't get any weird game-breaking bugs, or I didn't get stuck. I didn't do any weird stuff like that. Just a little jittery here and there. I noticed more issues on the PC the day one or was the day before it launched. Yeah. But then they patched it where I had some more issues on the PC.
There were a couple of patches within 2 days that fixed most of the issues.
Yeah.
The full screen window mode seemed to go away. I would say 3 days into it for me, it was fine. I will say if you're having trouble with it for whatever reason, just run it in window mode in PC. You don't even notice the difference. Like it takes up the whole screen just with this tiny little white line you can't even see. And that seemed to fix everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I will say, despite the technical difficulties, and there were quite a few for me, it was a good enough game where I played through it and didn't care so much. And I actually contacted the developers directly, and they got back to me really quickly and pointed out that I was not actually stuck the first time. That was embarrassing. But even when I did get stuck, they were open to saying, yeah, just send us the bug and we'll work on it, which is fine. I like that they were quick to respond. That's nice. So not a technically perfect game. There are definitely a few issues on the PC, but it wasn't enough to make me not want to play it by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I actually want to bring up kind of Rime, because that was a game that I had technical difficulties right out of the gate.
That was real bad.
And I feel like they're kind of similar genres, but...
Similar art styles, too.
And similar art styles, whereas this one I powered through any kind of issues I had with jittery kind of gameplay that makes me usually feel kind of upset. Like upset stomach. Whereas Rime, I was like, I played it for like 15 minutes. Like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I think it speaks to how much I really enjoy this game, and it for me, it's my kind of game.
This feels like a labor of love. it's like sometimes you play games and you go, were they really into this? This is a game where it just oozes like enthusiasm and enjoyment. I mean, Runic's a fairly small studio. They're not big, and you can kind of tell they invested themselves to the point where their social media person actually is a main voice actor. Wanda Russell is one of like the 2 voice actors in the game, and that says a lot when you've got people in the studio doing tons and tons of things. They're a busy crew. And this is a very different game for them. They did Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2, which was a Diablo-inspired role-playing type of, so this is completely new territory, and they did a hell of a job considering they really didn't have much experience in making a platformer like this.
Yeah, no. And I think level design and art style and the strong points of this game, and they really come together nicely. Every little bit of this world is characterized. The roots of the trees match the way that the rocks are, the rock walls are formed, and his arm and his matches the Colossus and the Titans, and, it's all of this stuff is perfectly kind of designed.
It's an alien feeling world. Special shout out to the designer, the creature designer. Like they feel like they're creatures, but they're not totally alien, that they're way bizarre. It just is like a tweak on what you'd feel like the Earth version were. So yeah, good animal design, good overall art direction. The only thing I want to say is how pissed off were Runic when they found that Hornet in Hollow Knight was like the same damn character that they had, and that game just happened to come out first.
I doubt they put that together.
I did. I was like, that's Hornet from Hollow Knight, and she's in this game. How dare they? But I love them both equally because, yeah. But that's just...
So wrap it up, and then do you want any spoiler talk?
Yeah, let's do okay. So yes, I would absolutely recommend this game. Go play it, whether it's on the PC or PS4. Huge thumbs up. It's going to be up there for me in the running. It's going to be up there with Resident Evil 7, with Hollow Knight. I mean, this is a contender. So
with Divinity.
Yeah, definitely play the hell out of this game. Buy 2 copies. Please do.
Yeah, that definitely a recommendation for me. I played it on the PS4, and I'd recommend it on the PS4. Laying on my couch, it's kind of this relaxing game.
I was so jealous.
I was so comfy, and it's starting to be like fall here, and I was wrapped in a blanket, and I like played for like 6 hours straight. It was awesome.
On a 4K TV, even though it's not a 4K game, the upscaling, it looks so
no, it's really comfy and awesome to just play it on my couch, and so I recommend buying it on the PS4.
Play the game, damn it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So spoilers from here on out. Come back after you played the game and whatever. Okay.
Yeah, so the spoilers for me really is just the ending. There are 2 that I know of. There might be more. And you can actually, if you beat it, by the way, sit through the credits. Because at the end of both endings, there's a special scene that comes after. And they're very different endings. So we are having a small discussion about how we feel, what the ending represents. I feel like I thought what happened was a meteor comes down, because it's very abstract, right, how they explain it. I thought a meteor came down, infected like the queen of whoever these people are, and then she just was trying to stay alive and contain the infection, but she couldn't, and then it started taking over everything. But it sounded like you had a different interpretation.
Ever so slightly, because you kind of get to this final room, and then there's the queen lady who's very crystallized and very similar to all these butterfly little things that you've been finding.
Yeah.
And then there's the people that are very much like you, like the Hob hero character. And then the crystallized lady is also very similar to this little crystallized hornet girl that's been running around. And so to me, I thought like these crystal kind of bug things invaded this world, and then like some of the people kind of embraced that, like the queen, and that led to being infected and gross, whereas some people were traditionalists and kind of were like the Hob hero character, where they stayed the same, and there was kind of this back and forth about whether that was the right way or not. Whether you choose the crystal lady or you choose the original traditionalist Hob hero character, depended.
Very different endings though.
But I think that the entire story is abstract enough that I don't think I could really say with any authority that I understand the ending enough. You know what I mean? Like I kind of got my takeaway from it, and I was satisfied with that, but I don't know that that's truth.
It felt like there was a good ending and a bad ending. Maybe not a bad ending, but a like somber ending. The somber ending is you join her, and then the infection continues and possibly gets worse because it looks different and more severe. And then the little robot guy unlocks a tomb and pulls out another person to take your place. That's like the ending number 1. The ending number 2 is you actually have to fight the Hornet girl, and it's a hard fight. and then you eventually beat her and you stab the queen in the chest, and she actually lets you willingly do it at one point. I think she recognizes what's going on, and it wipes out the whole infection on the planet, presumably, and a bunch of little hob guys / heroes come out, and they start like looking around.
Start looking around,
and they kind of are free. So it seems like there's one ending. That one probably is more in line, I feel like, with what.
Well, so like you go into those little rooms, they're kind of story rooms that you unlock that are not necessarily part of the, you have to do those little story rooms.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like these aliens come to the planet kind of thing. And so maybe she's one of those people that came in peace, but then kind of took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It didn't feel like they were antagonistic. It just felt like it was like, oh crap,
we're here and we're in charge now, and we're going to kind of terraform your stuff to our way.
Yeah.
And that wasn't good for the Hob hero characters.
Nope.
Or the natural wildlife. Kind of like an invasive species. Like
yeah.
It's
like
not,
a kudzu vine or something.
Yeah, it doesn't mean harm, but it causes harm by being there.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good discussion piece. I like that it wasn't overtly stated.
No, I
also
don't.
like how, most of this is really up to your interpretation. It's what a good game, it's what a good story does.
I think it's more engaging that way because
yeah.
you kind of really like, well, what did that mean? And then you talk with somebody. So I really enjoyed this game through and through. The like abstract kind of story stuff, everything about it.
Yep, me too. Okay, so before we sign off real quick, we're going to mention one more time.
Yep, to win these crinkly posters. Subscribe to the channel. Oh no. Oh no. We promise not to stab you with them. Subscribe and leave a comment below to be entered to win. And then in 2 weeks, we'll announce a winner and we'll ship you a shiny new Hob poster.
Leave a comment. Subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, great. You've completed step 1. Leave a comment, preferably a nice one, but it could be any comment, whatever your heart desires. And maybe you'll win an awesome poster. So yes, thank you guys for tuning in. From Chris.
From Bree.
Good luck.
Have fun.